Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, viewers from all over the world. It's a beautiful Monday morning, 9th of June, 2025. Thank God it's Monday. Yes, you heard me. Thank God it's Monday. And of course, it's also a public holiday. So I know most of you are right now in your homes, and most Nigerians are relaxing, lounging, enjoying your public holiday. This is how I enjoy mine. Thank you for joining us once again. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is. We do this every day from Mondays to Friday. Every weekday, we start with newspaper reviews. And then, of course, we dive into conversations, critical conversations that shape our nation. And that's what we do here every day. So welcome once again to Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Emeka Daniel is my name. You do not want to miss any part of the program today. Well, on the 9th of June, 1998, that's exactly 27 years ago, Major General Abdulsalami Abubakar was sworn in as Nigeria's 11th head of state. Absolutely. In a couple of days, we'll be talking about celebrating 26 years of unbroken democracy. That's talking about June 12. We'll talk more on that in the course of the program today. Quite a lot has happened, over the weekend and last week as well. Last week we saw, the feud between U.S. President Donald Trump, the most powerful man in the world, and of course the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. Their fight got public, exchange of words, and of course, Musk quit the Department of Government Efficiency. It's no longer there. And of course, he's been criticizing Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. Elon Musk quite disagrees with that. And so he fell out with the president, and it's not looking good at all. What happens when the most powerful man in the world and the richest man in the world fight? I think we're about to find out. Right now, it doesn't look good because just last week, I think it was Wednesday, in a single day, Tesla stocks plunged by 14%. On paper, that's a loss of about $150 billion. It's not looking good for Elon Musk. He has a lot to lose. So some experts will say he should tread softly. That's that about the United States. Coming back to Nigeria, just on Friday, talking about politics, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Umar Eno, officially decamped to the APC from the PDP. Nigerians who know that Akwa Ibom has always been traditionally a PDP state. Now the governor has decided to decamp to the APC. But something interesting happened. Before he decamped, there was a town hall meeting where Governor Umar Eno was addressing the people, and he asked them, don't you think it is time to move? And there was a resounding no from the people. You heard me. There was a resounding no from the people, saying they're not in with him. They're not interested in moving to the APC. Nevertheless, the governor chose to decamp. In a statement, thankfully, he chose his words carefully. He said, after critical consultations with stakeholders, now he's saying stakeholders, he consulted stakeholders, he decided to decamp to the APC. The big question is, how about the people? What happens to the people's choice? Do their voices matter at this time? I'll leave you to decide that. We'll take a quick break right now. When we return, we go straight into the newspaper review segment. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. The newspapers are in. Let's check out some of the stories on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers this morning. We start from the front page of Nigerian Tribune this morning. Let's check out some of the stories on the front page of Nigerian Tribune this morning. SEC warns public against investing in Punisher coin. The Securities and Exchange Commission warns public against investing in Punisher coin. So for members of the general public who are into, cryptocurrency investments and different kinds of investment, the Security and Exchange Commission is warning, be careful. You should be wary of the Punisher coin. You might want to find out why they are issuing that warning. Read of that story on page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Away from that, Tinubu to confer national honors on select lawmakers. Tinubu to confer national honors on select lawmakers, with a rider to attend National Assembly special joint sitting Thursday. To attend National Assembly special joint sitting Thursday. You find that story on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. Of course, Thursday, which happens to be June 12, Tinubu will be attending a joint sitting of the National Assembly, and he's to confer national honors on some of the lawmakers, select lawmakers, and a lot of people are guessing who and who might get those national honors. Let's just wait. Let us keep our fingers crossed. Talking about Nigeria, and of course, like I said earlier, on June 12th, we will be celebrating 26 years of unbroken democratic rule. What are the takeaways? What are the lessons we have learned? We'll look into that in the course of the program. So away from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, let us check out some of the stories on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Business leverage price adjustments to rein in FX losses, clean books. Businesses leverage price adjustments to rein in FX losses, clean books. You find a story on page 6. Moving to the top strip of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Economy back on track, but not yet Uhuru, says Baguda. Economy back on track, but not yet Uhuru, says Baguda. That's the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, saying the economy is back on track. I'll leave you to your own opinions as Nigerian. He's a government official, so of course he has to say nice things about the government, saying the economy is back on track. But not, at least he admitted it's not yet Uhuru. That's according to Baguda. You'll find that story on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Away from that, moved on to other stories, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. June 12, Tinubu to address National Assembly, confer national honors on lawmakers. June 12, Tinubu to address National Assembly, confer national honors to lawmakers. You find that story on page 3. The much awaited June 12 is just around the corner, so let's see what happens. Moving on to other stories, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Troops uncover 27 illegal oil sites. Arrest 43 in Niger Delta. Troops uncover 27 illegal oil sites. Arrest 43 in Niger Delta. You find a story on page 29. Kwankwaso receives 1,230 APC supporters to NNPP. Kwankwaso receives 1,230 APC supporters to NNPP. You'll find that story on page 29 as well. That's talking about Alhaji Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, the leader of the Kwankwasia movement, receiving 1,230 APC supporters to NNPP. Quite interesting. It's a season of politics. We've seen, a gale of defections, people defecting from one party to another. Talking about NNPP, most of the major political parties in Nigeria still have their own crises. We have the PDP, we have the LP. As far as NNPP is concerned and Kwankwaso is concerned, we have the Kwankwasiya movement, that is those loyal to Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. We have their faction, and of course we have another faction, that's of Dr. Boniface Anyebunam, who legally claims to be the founder of the NNPP. So they have their leadership tussles as well, so most of the political parties. But now it's good news for them, receiving over 1,000 supporters of APC. I think this is, let's have something different for a change. That's what most Nigerians will say this time around, having APC supporters defecting to NNPC. But so far, we've been seeing most of the defections has been from other parties, from opposition parties to the ruling APC. But in this case, like I said, just for a change, we are having people from the APC moving to the NNPP, if this report is anything to go by. Away from that, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning, Ondo PDP berates Ayedatiwa's refusal to complete Akeredolu's project. Ondo PDP berates Ayedatiwa's refusal to complete Akeredolu's project. You find that story on page 7. Again, government is supposed to be a continuum. When one administration passes the baton to the next administration, it is supposed to be a continuation. But what do we have here? I mean, successors accusing their predecessors, predecessors accusing their successors of not completing their project. It shouldn't be personal. A government should be about the people. That's why we call it a government of the people, for the people, by the people. That's if we are practicing democracy. But we've been having accusations flying here and there. Now we are having Lucky Ayedatiwa rather being accused of not completing Akeredolu's project. You can read of that story on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And just below that, we have another story. We lost millions to Durbar cancellation. Kano government laments. We lost millions to Durbar cancellations. Kano government laments. You find that story on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. And right below that, we have another one. Lagos political storms clears as Tinubu forgives Sanwo-Olu in GAC brokered truce. Lagos political storm clears as Tinubu forgives Sanwo-Olu in GAC brokered truce. You find that story on page 6. It has been evident that there's been a rift between the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and his godfather, some people would say, the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There was this meeting, there was this video that surfaced sometime, I think it was 2 weeks ago, online, of the president when he was in Lagos. He was, greeting some people. He was giving them handshakes. And when he got to the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, he skipped him. I mean, it was unmistakable. It was crystal clear. He didn't want to extend that handshake to him. So it was very clear. A lot of people picked that up, and people started saying, oh, there might just be, trouble in paradise. There's a rift between these two people for the president to have ignored him publicly. Now we understand the GAC, that's the Governance Advisory Council in Lagos, has actually brokered a truce between the president and the governor of Lagos State. And according to this report, Babajide Sanwo-Olu has been forgiven. Congratulations. What else do you want us to say? Away from that, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. At the bottom strip now, Serap Oriwa urged Tinubu to drop APC regs, fear manipulation. You find a story on page 5. Serap Oriwa, that's the Human Rights Writers Association, urged Tinubu to drop APC regs, that's resident electoral commissioners, because they fear manipulation. You find that story on page 5. And finally, from the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning, imperative of full disclosures in Emefiele 753 Abuja duplexes. Imperatives of full disclosures in Emefiele 753 Abuja duplexes. You find the story on the editorial page, that's page 12, talking about former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele and the 753 duplexes in Abuja linked to him. The last has not been heard in that case. He might have to forfeit, most definitely, the property. So we're talking about full disclosure here. So let's see how that goes. Quite interesting. A lot of Nigerians were furious when that news broke. A public office holder, a civil servant. At first, it was reported that a civil servant, before his name popped up, was involved in, owning and the construction of 753 duplexes in Abuja. Then, of course, eventually, Godwin Emefiele was named in that case, and now the case is still on. Let's see how that goes. And that'll be all from the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Next, we take a look at the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, ground rents, 34 embassies risk closure Tuesday. Ground rent, 34 embassies risk closure Tuesday. 34 embassies in Nigeria might be closed as a result of ground rent. With a rider, FCTA, that's Federal Capital Territory Administration, probes PDP, FIRS, others payments. With another one right there, Tinubu approved extension. Tinubu approved extension ends today. That's Monday. Then finally, we have another rider. Germany, Russia, Turkey on defaulters list. We have Germany, Russia, Turkey on defaulters list right there. Talking about ground rates in Abuja, 34 embassies risking closure. The question again is, what is the big deal about paying ground rents? Is there a misunderstanding somewhere? These are not small institutions. We're talking about embassies. For the sake of diplomatic ties, I think they should be well straightened out again, because why would they find it difficult to pay ground rent rather? We also have an organization like the FIRS, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, owing ground rent in Abuja. So what exactly is happening? I think one of their officials came out to say there must be a mix-up somewhere. But again, the records say they are owing ground rent. So I just hope they get to resolve that. You would recall that the president actually gave them a 2-week extension. That was after the eventful closure of the PDP secretariat in Abuja, when the president had to intervene, and he gave them 2 weeks extension, which expires today. So tomorrow, Tuesday, some of these organizations might be closed down. So now they've been warned, the grace period has elapsed, so they should expect closure by the FCTA. Let's see if they get further extension, or better still, within 2 weeks, why haven't they paid up? Your guess is as good as mine. Away from that, finally, from the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning, at the top strip, we have Discos raise bills 107% despite poor power. Discos raise bills 107% despite poor power. Talking about distribution companies in Nigeria raising bills by 107%. You find that story on page 27. Now, we still have the case of the Gencos being owed over 4 trillion naira by the federal government. I understand they've been making efforts to repay that debt. Now we have Discos raising bills despite poor power. You find that story on page 21. And right below that, we have Matawale, Zamfara governor face off over defection plot. Matawale, Zamfara governor face face-off over defection plot. You find that story on page 8. It's talking about the Minister of State for Defense having a face-off with Zamfara governor. All about politics right there. That'll be all from the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Let's take a look at, I think we have the Nation News. Let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. On the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Your sins are forgiven. Tinubu to Sanwo-Olu. Your sins are forgiven. As GAC visits presidents in Lagos. Tinubu to Sanwo-Olu. Your sins are forgiven. As GAC visits presidents in Lagos. Then below that we have our economy is back on track. That's credited. That statement is credited to Baguda right there. And also on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, hardship. Nigerians cut spending on foreign travels by 30%. Hardship. Nigerians cut spending on foreign travels by 30%. Of course, if you don't have enough money, you have to cut your spending on foreign travels right there. Talking about hardship in Nigeria, a lot has been said. On May 29th, we talked about, we took a review of Tinubu's 2 years in office and how a lot of Nigerians believe Nigerians have never had it this bad. A lot of Nigerians scored the president very low on the economy. The president was scored very low. Even we've seen members of the party, even APC members, because when we talk about economic hardship, it affects everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're an APC member or a PDP supporter or LP or NNPP or ADC, whatever party you support. Hardship does not discriminate. So a lot of Nigerians scored Mr. President very low, reviewing his 2 years in office. Some people said, you know, Nigerians never had it this bad. But let's look at it from this angle. We have on one side, Nigerians scoring the president low, but on the other side, we have the political class, the leaders saying something else. Majority of the people in the political class are busy singing the praises of Mr. President, saying the president has done so well for them. Earlier on, I mentioned the case of the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Eno Umo, which was defected to the APC from the PDP, despite the resistance from the people. So what exactly is going on here? So we have the political class on one side who are smiling to the banks, or so it seems. They're singing the praises of the president, saying the president has done so well. And on the other hand, we have Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians like you and I, saying it's never been this bad. So where is the disconnect? You might ask, what exactly is going on? But the reality is there. The facts are there. The figures are there. Even the figures released by the National Bureau of Statistics, you know, sometimes we have slight reduction in inflation. Sometimes we have about 0.5% reduction in headline inflation. But again, the question is, how has it trickled down to Nigerians? Some economists will argue that, of course, we have the phenomenon of sticky prices, that some of the prices will remain like that for quite a while. It will take time for Nigerians to begin to reap the benefits of, these economic policies of Mr. President. Again, away from all the jargons, all the grammar, what Nigerians want to see is a relief. Talking about the hardship, we talk about renewed hope. Nigerians are yet to experience that. So until the average Nigerian on the streets can say, oh, life is good, we shouldn't start clapping for ourselves. I'm talking about the political class right there. And that'll be all from the newspaper review segment this morning. We'll take a break. We'll take a short break. When we return, the program continues. Please stay with us.